Welcome to episode 155 of Broad Street Hustle, one of the fun shows of the year as we cover the 151st Kentucky Derby. It's horses only, so if you're not a horse player or not interested in the horses, you could shut the podcast off, but we do appreciate you listening, all five of you. But let's jump right into it because we do have an action-packed show. We're going to cover the Oaks, which is tomorrow, which is the Philly version of the Kentucky Derby, and then we're going to do the pick five that ends with the Kentucky Derby. So races 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And as we go through it, we'll give you the times. So let's just jump right into it. As always, co-host Jason Sayeda.
Hey Tom, what's going on?
Jason, we got Jimmy the Chalk.
Yes, have to be specific this week.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you would have already seen, but when we talk horses, you hear the clickety clack of the paw of the hooves, the smell of manure, and must mean only one thing. Jimmy D has joined the podcast. Jimmy D.
That's a hell of an entry.
As if there wasn't enough horse shit on this podcast as it was, but yeah.
You're not talking about his breath, are you?
Well, we'll see whose picks end up that way.
Really. But it's always great to be back, guys. And, if I'm back, it's horse racing season. And nothing better than the greatest 2 minutes in sports, the Kentucky Derby. Unless you're this guy, then it's the greatest 1 minute and 59 seconds and 2/5. So a shout out to the guy who did beat that record. And I should shout out the Monarchos, too, who also cracked the 2 minutes.
That's what I was going to ask, but you beat me to it.
But anyhow,
before we jump into it, since we haven't had a chance, and I'll give you less than a minute, Jimmy D, and I know that's tough for you. The Phillies, your thoughts on the Phillies, because you always have interesting opinions that we love to hear. We haven't got a chance to hear it yet so far, and that hopefully Terry won't be yelling in the background.
Well, hopefully not, because I think we bet them tonight. But only a fool is condemned to repeat their mistakes. You can't go in with the same team. You're not going to win when it comes later on. You'll be competitive in the division. Everybody's improving themselves. I think they got to go after a reliever. The only guy probably expendable is Baum. I heard Jason the other day mention something in one of the last podcasts about Logan O'Hoppe and that trade, which was a debacle with Marsh, and he's right. We talked about that for a long time, and I don't see this team advancing. I just don't. They'll be competitive in their division, and that's as far as they go. Ironically, Taijuan Walker all of a sudden is pitching good, which is ironic. I guess their pitching staff can carry him. If Luzardo and Sanchez hang in there, Nola's a dog. We know that. He can't pitch a big game. But they'll be competitive in the division. I just don't. Their bench strength is weak. Their left fielders questionable, and their bullpen's erratic. If I go back to what I said 2 years ago, I'll get crucified. If there were 50, a 50 type team, would they go 82 and 82? But maybe you win 90 games, but they're going to struggle in the playoffs. They'll struggle against the Mets. They'll struggle against the Dodgers. Same old, same old.
Yeah, quick too. I mean, you did say about the trade, and we talked about, but how about them looking back at it too, trading Soto and Sir Anthony too, for absolutely nothing. I'm not saying they're great arms, but
Nothing.
they would look good right. They would look good right now.
The guy they traded him for, who they could have signed for a song and a dance, to come back this year, is hitting his balls off with the Reds.
It was a Hayes.
Yeah,
right?
he's hitting like 350.
So.
I mean, why not bring him back for a show me contract? We'll give you $2 million. Show me what you could do.
And you watch that Cody Clemens don't bite you in the ass too.
Yeah, right.
We can go on, but let's jump into episode 155, Broad Street Hustle, brought to you by Giovannina's Pizza. You tried the rest, now try the best. Enjoy a pie while you watch the Derby this Saturday evening. All right, let's just jump right into it. Jason, always kick it off with you. Like I said, we are going to cover the Kentucky Oaks first, which is going to be run on Friday at 5:51. So tomorrow at 5:51. Now I'm going to put a disclaimer out there for tomorrow's race and for Saturday's race. Out of nowhere, we got storms brewing all of a sudden. The weather does not look great. We know in Kentucky, storms come, storms go. Who knows what's going to happen? Me personally, I think a lot of the folks have handicapped for kind of a fair track, fast pace, whatever. But with the rain and some of these storms could be severe from what I read, it could just change everything. So keep that in mind. If you get rain, it could kind of alter it. It's not an excuse, it's a disclaimer. With that said, Jason, kick us off for race 11 tomorrow, Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, how could you handicap for wet? Like, I mean, who knows what horses are going to like a wet track at Churchill Downs? Unless somebody ran last week or 2 weeks ago at a wet track at Churchill Downs. Like, even last year, if the track was wet at Churchill Downs, like, you don't know if it's the same type of track this year. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. You just got to handicap and hope for the best. So, all right, this Oaks race, I narrowed it down to two horses. I kind of think it's a two-horse race. The way I see the race breaking out is, I think the two Simply Joking, along with the seven Lacara. Now the eight was scratched. The eight's 5G. She was going to go to the lead too, but those two, and possibly Anna's Promise, but at least those two are going to go. They're going to go and battle for the lead. I know everybody's like losing their mind on how Lacara looks this week and all, but I think she only wins when she gets an easy lead. She's not getting an easy lead. Like Simply Joking, at least is going to go with her. And that leaves me to two horses that I think could win, and obviously one's 11 Good Cheer. I mean, she's done nothing wrong. She's 3 for 3 at Churchill, and she's never lost anywhere. But I like the 14 Quiet Side better, to be honest with you. She's moving in now because of the scratch of the 8, so she's not in the 14 hole anymore. She's in the 13, so that's going to help. I think I think she's just as fast as Good. Good Cheer is 6 for 6, right? Is she really that much faster than any other horse that she's going to be even money? And I mean, the last I looked, Quiet Side was like 9-1, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with that, Jason, and that comes down to what you think of like horses that get geared down. I mean, she's won every race like with
Yeah,
ease. So those speed figures could possibly
and
be misleading
you're right.
if
And
you
don't get me
believe
wrong.
that she
I
could have
mean,
ran harder.
I if she wins, she's going to be on my tickets. Like I'm just trying to beat her with Quiet Side. I absolutely will use Good Cheer because I think she could easily win. Um, I think Simply Joking could hang around and maybe catch third. And then I'm going to use two closers at the bottom of my super, and I probably will use them with a horse in the Derby because I'm going to do an Oaks Derby double. But the 4 Drexel Hill, if the race really gets fast, I mean, she could come flying at the end. And then sentimentally, Jimmy D and I, the 5 Quick Kick, when she was first starting last year, Jimmy and I spoke, and Jimmy actually talked to Amos about her. And Amos actually said he likes her. He likes her going long. So she's going to be, come flying at the end too. Only chance they have is if the race breaks down. But my top choice will be 14 Quiet Side, and then the second will be 11 Good Cheer.
Okay, Chalky.
So it's kind of funny because Brad Cox had the early Oaks favorite and an undefeated horse for Godolphin named Immersive, who won the Breeders' Cup. She gets hurt, and then he walks in with the Oaks favorite for Godolphin with Good Cheer. The rich just stay rich. I'm going to buy the hype on Lacara, the 7 that everybody is saying this week, only because, I just don't have a good feel for most of this race. But for the people that I've heard that, can usually, I give a little respect to when they talk about how these horses work there. I mean, it was almost over the top, but, she threw that bull in the 22nd. They said she could have kept running every day, whereas other horses come out tired, need a couple days to get back. She was just ready to go, and she's been working the best of anybody in the 2 big races, so that's Oaks Derby. So I'll put her on top just because I don't want to take an even money favorite, not named Rachel Alexandra in the Oaks. Good cheer. If you play her at the bottom, try with a bomb in the middle. There's a couple horses that be coming here. Jason talked about Quiet Side, who's obviously won the fantasy. Quick Kick. I'm sure Amos likes her going long, but I'd like her even more if she could break 80 on a buyer, going 2 turns after like 5 races. So I don't think she's fast enough to win. Maybe she could clunk up there. And if you're a Delco person, Drexel Hill might be something you throw in. But it's really going to be 7 for me that I'll play with some doubles into the Derby. And I'm just going to hope that the hype is real.
Yeah, I'll go here. I think Good Cheer is a lock for this race. I mean, she's 3 for 3 at Churchill. Does have a wet win. I mean, you show me a horse that's going to sit a better trip than she is. She's going to sit right behind the possible, speed horses, whether it's 2 or 3 of them. She's exploded every time she's been asked and has never really been in a fight to have to win, which could be a negative. But I mean, I just think it sets up for its Cox. So I have Good Cheer. I'll take the even money. I think she's a lock there. I do like Lucara as well, so I see it to be fairly chalky. My play would be to toss Simply Joking and Quiet Side, and then try to sneak in some of the horses that I did have underneath, which was like a Tenma, which is the 9 horse, or Take Charge Milady, which is the 10 horse who may be coming late. But I could see this race being 11-7 cold in the exacta, and then hoping for a price in third. Jimmy D.
But my young friends are forgetting that I'm going to do the rain dance tomorrow afternoon. And I don't think it's going to be a hard dance to do because simply it's going to rain in Kentucky. I was out there at this time last year, and the weather pattern was almost the same. It was nice during the week, started to get a little funky, and then when it rained like the son of a gun. It doesn't mess around when it rains out there. Um, I like Simply Joking. I think the horse is coming into form. I like the progression. The speed's getting better and better and better. He had a workout on the 19th. He was the best of 56. I think that's a telltale. Beckham's sneaky out in Kentucky. He's sneaky, and so is Giroux. About this time of the year, that's when they make all their money. They own that place. Last year, he cleaned up on Friday. He cleaned up on Thursday. I think Simply Joking's coming into a big race. There's not a lot of speed in that race. That horse might go gate to wire. I understand the 11 horse is a monster. I get it. Did nothing wrong, undefeated. You got to put them in if you're going to play the exotics. And the Quick Kick horse, as Jason mentioned, I know Amos. Amos was high on this horse. He doesn't get $550,000 horses very often. Greenwell gave him this horse. He was big on it at the time. I guess he still is. I haven't spoke to him. I usually see him in the summertime, but I would throw him in. It would be a 2-11-5 for me with Simply Joking on top.
Okay. That is tomorrow's race. The Oaks will be at 5:51 Eastern Standard Time. All right, let's jump into Saturday's races. Starting with the pick 5, ending with the 151st Kentucky Derby. So the race 8, which is 323, to start off the pick 5. It is a 7 furlong, the Churchill Downs Stakes, I guess it's called. It's a grade 1. It's a pretty good field. Maybe a standard or two. Chalky, since we started with Jason. We will kick it off to you to start off Saturday's pick 5 for us.
Yeah, so I had a little bit hard time picking which chalk I wanted to put on top. So, but I'm against Mulligan and Nisos. I'm just not sure. I'll probably use them. So I'll put Mind Frame on top. The horse has been running around, ran a couple of the races last year, 2 turns, obviously the Belmont Haskell, cut back to the 1-turn Gulfstream Park Mile. The horse is fast, but he's a little bit of a head case, so that's a lukewarm pick, even though he is the favorite. I would use the Baffert in there as well, only because the horses run his eyeballs out all 3 times. Baffert is going to bring his horses in the run. Can he bring them off a year? Well, normally yes, but this is tough competition. But the horse is obviously showing a lot of talent. The other horses I have are going to be prices. So I'm against the 2, like I said, and the 11, like I said, even though they have some of the better buyers. So in the mix, as like B's and C's, I'd have Bookham Dano, Giant Mischief, and Extra Anejo. Trying to get maybe a price if the race breaks down, especially some of these horses will be coming from behind. I'll stop there, but yeah. So Mind Song, Jesus, it's only the second race and I'm messing names up. Mind Frame, lukewarm choice for me.
I'll go in here. If this was early pandemic and we were struggling to find toilet paper, I would use race 8 as toilet paper because you don't need it. Nisos wins this race. Done. Over. Throw the rest of the PPs out. If you get 2-1 on Nisos, it's a gift. He's probably going to be 8-5. I don't care who else is running in this race. Nisos lock. Jason?
My write-up is 10 Noisos. Returns off layoff for Baffert and Pratt. Horse is an absolute monster. Push button. This is my best opinion of the day. Single. Move on. Noisos. Not losing.
Jimmy D.
Well, it's just going to sound like a repeat. And I have to give Jason a little shout out because he showed me a race with Nisos. So I did a little bit of research with Nisos. And this is a single. This is no ifs, ands, or buts. We don't have to mess around. I will say this about Mind Frame. At the 8th pole in Saratoga, I was headed to the window to cash the ticket once he collared Dornock. Unfortunately, Mind Frame came with me to the window. And when he bolted, that was the ticket right up in smoke. I guess I didn't forgive him for that. So I put him on the board. He's got back class. There's no question. Mulligan, he's another horse with a lot of class. He had a 5-horse winning streak, 4-horse winning streak, probably third choice in the wagering. If he wins, you get a little bit of a price. But if you get 2-1, Tommy, on Nisos, wow. All I'm going to say is wow. That horse could be really something special. And by the end of the 4-year-old season, he really, if he stays healthy, will be right up there with Horse of the Year.
So I watched a lot of replays of races for all of these races. But Noisos. If you watch that replay, and if this horse is ready to run, and from what I've heard, like he's training like a monster, so he's ready to run. Absolute push button horse. Like, I mean, you tell him to go, and he's gone, and he just annihilates the field. I think he's in a good position to do it again here, like sitting outside,
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah, I actually watched a replay he had, workout he had. I watched the replay, and workouts are tough because you don't always know what the workmate is. But they put the workmate like 3 or 4 lengths, which was Speedboat Race, which was one of Baffert's better horses who
Yeah.
didn't run well today. But put him a couple lengths in front of him. And it did not look like they were like easing up on speed. And all of a sudden, Nices just comes, hits the turn. And then that acceleration when he comes around the far turn, of the oval. And it's like, that Sadler horse kind of where he gets faster as the race goes on. I think Life at Beach was one of the horses like that. They just get faster as the race continues.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's what Nices looks like.
He might have won the Derby last year if he didn't get hurt.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And Mind
Probably
Frame cuts back to 7 furlongs. I don't know what that's all about. He's bred for distance.
Maybe first race back, he just wanted to cut him back, and then
Yeah, he might not have him ready to go to, and
Yeah.
it's and there's not much else he wants to run him on Derby Day.
Yeah,
I mean, Baffert probably wants to make a statement, right? I mean, he wants to win.
and I'm thinking that as well.
He's only
Yeah.
had one turn race. I mean, he's 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs,
did.
and then Santa Anita at a mile was only so,
But he was
fits.
tracking for as.
Oh, he was tracking for the Derby, absolutely. But it's not
Derby,
like
yeah.
he's a mile and 1/8 mile and a quarter horse that you wouldn't necessarily cut back either.
Yeah, I thought that Extra Neho though was a horse that could kind of get the board. He's good at the distance, and maybe try to get sneak Mind Frame out. Banishing was another horse. Who knows it underneath. Um, but nice those for us. All right, let's move on. Race 9, which is a mile and 16th on the turf, the American turf, grade 1. Hopefully, the turf courses is where the weather could really, really change,
Yeah.
the makeup of this pick 5. Churchill is already kind of a quirky type of course. You put some moisture in it and you get some kind of chaos. So, with that said, Jimmy D, I'll kick it off to you to give us your opinion.
If that track gets deep, it really changes the form on these turf horses. However, with that said, I'm going to Zulu Kingdom. I follow this horse. I like this horse. This horse was bet down in the Breeders' Cup. He lost the crop, whatever that means. I guess he lost the whip. I don't know if that made a difference, but he was closing, and then all of a sudden he was seventh. So I'd have to give this horse a little credit, a little credence on that. He's won 4 or 5. I you know I think in this particular field, he's a standout to me. I throw maybe the 5 in test score. He coming off that stupid looking Transylvania at Keeneland. He didn't beat much in that race. So I don't think there's much to beat in this race. I wouldn't go very deep in here. I know it's a little sloppy, but I think Zulu Kingdom, Brown train, Pratt riding should be okay.
All right, Jason, thoughts?
Yeah, so I think it's a tough race. So Jimmy mentioned, I think the Transylvania Stakes at Keeneland was the key race here. I watched this a bunch of times because there's a lot of horses in this race that were in that race. So the 4 Mibago set a reasonable pace, then just kind of collapsed and fell back. So I think he and the 8 Charlie to Blame, which is the Urton horse, will be out on the pace. My best bet, my top choice is the same as Jimmy's. I like 7 Zulu Kingdom the best. He wasn't actually in that race, but he was in another key race, which is the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. There was a couple of these horses in that race also. So I kind of like him to sit off the lead and just go by. Um, my second choice is going to be the 3 New Century. He won a Grade 1 at Woodbine, ran well in July in the Juvenile Turf. Then he went to England. He kind of didn't run that well, but that tough to kind of go across the ocean and run it there. So I'll give him a little break on that. I'm going to use the 5 test score. He sat mid pack, and then he won pretty nicely in the last race. But if you do watch that last race, which was the Transylvania. The 2 Scipio, he closed really strong in that race, and although the 5 won pretty convincingly, he won by like a length, but Scipio ran a really nice race. He closed strong. He was kind of bumped a little bit down the stretch, so I don't really like California turf horses, but I'm throwing this 2 Scipio in, so I'm 4 deep. 7-3-5-2 is my order, but I'm going to use them all.
And I'll jump in here. Yeah, I'm not. I don't really differ too much from what you guys said. I mean, I think it's a toss up between the 3 and the 7. So New Century and Zulu Kingdom. I gave a slight edge to Century just because IRADs get jumping on. Him and Walsh have teamed up for some good scores. So, but this is a trip dependent race, obviously. So you got 2 horses that are pretty equal. You're not going to say single, otherwise you're just you're playing the lottery. So I can go either way. I also threw a test score as well, and Jason makes great points around the 2 Scipio. I mean, if you like test score, there's no reason why Scipio. And I know Jason, you downplayed the California turf horses, but he came from California, was 6-1 at
Yeah,
Keeneland and ran well. So
yeah.
although
He
he's a
proved, he
California
proved
turf,
himself. He proved himself
himself.
outside of California.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I would be okay with him as well. But 3-7 were my top. Sprinkle in the 5, and I don't hate the 2 as well. Chalky.
5-7-2.
So that would be test score.
Test score, Zulu
Kingdom.
Kingdom, and Scipio. I put test score on top only because I think you're more likely to get the 10-1 on him than the 4-1 on Zulu Kingdom. So it's more of a price thing. But
So you know what's odd about that horse is he was also like 10-1 last race.
Yeah.
and he won. He did nothing wrong. He won the race, and now
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's 10-1
I
again.
think there's a lot of problems with these morning lines as to what they actually will end up being the day
Yeah,
of the races. But I think Zulu Kingdom, Jimmy mentioned it, but he was right in place to win that race. The drop in the crop didn't help him because he dropped from second to seventh eventually. He's that close to being undefeated, but he'll get back because it's Pratt and Brown. So I figure he'll get close to 10-1 on test score. But
I mean, one thing with test score too is he has 2 wins, he has 2 seconds, and he has a third. His 2 wins and his 2 seconds were all Franco. So obviously, Manny Franco has a great feel for this horse. Gaffalione ran him third, Alvarado ran him fifth. So his best races have come with this jockey that's under him today. So
yeah,
yeah, I think he's for sure
and
used.
look at the thoroughgraphs. He started out with 313s, then he paired nines, jumped to a five. If he pairs that five, that probably wins this race.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Five. I mean, Zulu Kingdom can step up. His races are a little slow on third grip, but New Centuries is around a five. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I think everything that everybody said is correct. We're kind of all around the same number there. So any variation of 2, 3, 5, and 7 for the turf race. Okay, race 10, which is the Derby City Distaff, will come at 4:50 Eastern Standard Time. It is for fillies and mares. Chalky, kick us off.
So this is going to be my stand, I guess. I would single the two Copian here. Mandela doesn't ship east. She's ran two big races coming off the layoff. One turns in Santa Anita. Um, I'm singling her. I'm not a Ways and Means fan. Vava's been off course. I would maybe use the one skill as a backup because she's 4 for 4 at Churchill. Something to be said for that. But and she's consistent with ones and twos on the thoroughgraph pattern. But I'm going to go heavily, and for this purpose, we'll say single the two Copian with Mandela.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm spread here, and Copian was one, but I don't. That number is just awfully suspicious to me. I mean, he beat Hope Road, who's never even come close to running 100 buyer. Ran 102 in that race. There was only 4 horses in the race. Hope Road gets a 5 on the thoroughgraph, but Copian gets a 0-2, which is a pretty big difference. I know it won by 4 lengths, so I don't know. That speed number just looks like a little out of whack for me, so I don't trust it. But then again, I've done that before, and then that horse, I think Mulligan might have been a horse last year in one of the races we handicapped,
Yeah.
and the horse runs out of his mind. So I'm spreading this race, so it's definitely a horse that I'm going to throw on a ticket. I just don't know if I buy the height with that 110 speed figure. The other horses that I did use, just looking through my notes here, Bahava, which is actually my top choice. 4 for 4 at Churchill, 5 for 9, 7 furlongs, hit the board in 8 of the 9. It's IRAD. You should get a decent pace to run into. Now you say Churchill on these days there's kind of speed favoring, so that's kind of but the horse has already won 4 times at Churchill
yeah.
off the pace. So has proved that the speed favoring
Yeah.
at times
She
is
won
not
she
going to
won this
be.
race last year off the pace.
This race was it this I
Yep.
didn't even know that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah, that's my top pick out of the 5 horses I use. Ways and Means, that's the one horse that I'm real iffy on coming back in this season, but I'm spreading here. I'm not leaving off a horse that has I think a hell of a chance, if runs back to those numbers. Emery, who's I think my second pick if you
Yeah.
had to give me a second pick. Great cheat numbers, great thoroughgraph numbers. Outside stalker could sit perfect trip with Vahava. And then the last horse that I used is a little bit of a price. So it's Leperu, who does well at Churchill here. I mean, look at the horse when she turned 5, kind of ran her 2 best races, ran a 5 and then jumped to a 0-2 on the thoroughgraph. Um, Leperu rides this horse all the time. It could have just taken this horse a while to mature, and now she's kind of found her own. The big boys, the big girls, I should say, knock heads somewhere, and maybe this horse is here to pick it up a little bit. So I'm spreading 5 deep. I'm going to use most of the logicals, and then I'll throw in the 11 for a little bit of a price. Jimmy D.
Should be a spread race, and there's no question about that. I think the competition is relatively equal here. I like Copium, but I don't like it to win. I like my main squeeze. I go outside with 13. The horse is going to be running late into a quick pace.
Jim, let me stop you there. They haven't scratched the horse, but they've indicated their preference is not to run on
Really?
Saturday.
I don't know
Yeah.
that. Okay. Well, that will change that.
Don't. I don't mean to throw you off, but yeah, that was what they were. There's a couple horses, including that horse, Darth Vader, and another that might scratch out for other spots. They were saying.
Okay. Then, if that was the situation, my second choice would have been Ways and Means. I'll go back again. If Wet Horse comes alive, it's grade one tested, grade one winner in the test, and it's a Pratt Brown thing. So I'd certainly go back to the 8 if, in fact, that 13 is out of there. My third choice would have been Copium for all the good reasons you said. The horse is undefeated sprinting. There's nothing wrong with that. That horse should be right there also. I just think the pace will be a little too quick. I'm looking for a closer. Would have looked for the 13. May settle on the 8. We'll see what happens.
All right, Jason, take us home here.
Yeah, I'm three deep here. I'm against Kopi in the two. I don't know. I'm like you, Tom. I don't know about that last figure. And even if it was, it's a pretty big jump from 3 to 0 in the Thorograph. Does she bounce off of that? Like, what happens after running that big last race? If that's truly, how fast she ran. I'm not using that horse. My top choice is a 7 Vala. Um, Same thing Tommy said basically. I mean, 4 for 4 at Churchill, 5 for 9 at the distance. I think she's going to sit off the 5 and the 6. They should be the kind of the speeds of the race. Um, they should make the race fast. So Vava's my top choice. I like Emery a lot too. The 9. Um, I think you're going to get value in that horse who's won at Churchill. Obviously likes the distance. She's got speed also, but she could also sit off. Like she's pretty versatile. Um, you know, um, I think she has a big shot in this race. And then the 8 ways and means, she's just too talented for me not to use. Like I know she disappoints a lot, or she did, at least she disappointed in the Breeders' Cup. But uh, once she went down to one turn, like she really like kind of exploded. If you look at the thoroughgraphs, and Breeders' Cup, it's tough. I mean, those races are tough. I mean, sometimes you just give them a pass on the Breeders' Cup race. If they kind of didn't run that well, because there's so many good horses, some different circumstances there. So if it rains too, Jimmy D's got a great point. I mean, she's going to like that. So my horses are 7, 9, and 8.
So just real quick, to go back to what I was saying. So Dave Granning reported yesterday, Hall and Ice will likely enter Grade 3 vagrancy at Aqueduct on Sunday. Its cross center will likely run there. Hall and Ice will stay in the race if it's wet, though, for Saturday. Darth Vader expected to scratch to run tomorrow in the La Troen. Tax is also crossed entered in the La Troen. Awesome Treat is crossed entered in another race, and My Main Squeeze is expected to scratch and point to the Ruffian on May 10th at Aqueduct. So you could have
So if all that happens, or any of that
5 or
happens,
6
right?
scratch out, and these AEs get in.
Really?
Right. So the 15's got speed, right? If she gets in, grand job. She's a total speed ball. So you're probably not going to lose too much speed, but you will lose some speed if that happens.
Yeah.
Nah, well, yeah, and Hall and Ice is speed, so and Jimmy makes a good. Well, he says something in here that that horse has run some lights out races on the wet track too.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's good enough, but
yeah.
obviously the connections thing.
It'll speed up the race at the very least.
Yeah, because she's going to be in and go. Now, quickly, nobody mentioned the one Skillia. I know that was a horse on this pod that we've picked in the past. I know coming
Yeah.
off a layoff, no interest from anybody.
I mentioned her quickly. I mean, I had the single,
Yeah.
but I said that I would, if I had like a C for the ticket, then she would be my next pick on there.
All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's move on to the race prior to the Derby. Race 11, kicking off 5:39. The Turf Classic. It's grade one at a mile and an eighth. Another turf race. I'll kick us off because I don't want. Jason kind of ended the last race. These are not very good horses for this race. I mean, for $1 million race. I mean, I don't know if it's just the turf division is kind of on a downfall here, but I didn't find any of these horses to be standouts. I ultimately spread again. Would be a race where I wouldn't be opposed to any of the horses, even the bombs. Now I didn't use any bombs because I couldn't really find logical ones, to be quite honest with you. So I just used all the logical horses, and you can honestly talk me off of every single horse that I used. So I'm not sold, and I don't really have a strong opinion at all. I used the one integration for obvious reasons. Has a no, it didn't run. I think I was thinking ran well at Churchill. Did not run well at Churchill. But that is 3 to 6 in the distance. Frankie Dettori on the rail. Horses never won when coming from the rail. I think it was the 3 times, but they were tough races. That's probably a horse I can easily be talked off of. The three highway robber.
Wow.
I don't love the jockey there on that horse.
Is that
Daniel.
Diane Cannon?
Yeah, is it
Used to sit
Diane? Is
at
it?
the
Yeah.
sidelines of the Lakers games.
So that's another horse I could easily be talked off
She's
of.
like 100 years old now, by the way. She's like in her 90s, I think, or something.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 6 to 1 morning line, but as Chalky said, the morning lines are a little suspicious. The six taking candy, probably one of my top picks, if you want to say. It's Deveau and or Junior Jose Ortiz. The seven running bee is Pratt. Chad Brown. I mean, obviously, don't have to go any further than that. And then 10, who I think will go off ultimately as the favorite, is Spirit of St. Louis. Yeah, the 11 I saw did run today, so that horse isn't going to run. And then I'm gonna sit back and listen to you guys because I really have no opinion in this race, and can go any which way. Jimmy D.
Yes, sir. I kind of look at betting patterns. That good cheer that we talked about in the Oaks. If you looked at those betting patterns there, I mean, she's 5 cents on the dollar. She's 10 cents on the dollar. She's 66 cents on the dollar. I mean, that's a lot of respect. And so obviously that horse is a player. Whether she runs through that every time, as she has so far. But not to regress back into the Oaks, but I'm looking at integration. This is a horse that has tendency to bounce. But every time he bounces, the betters are back on him. The price that he runs at is a cheap price. And he's running in grade twos and grade one. So I mean it's the competition that it's the best out there, whether you like those horses or not. Um, Dettori gets this mount. He doesn't have, his whole thing was to come over here to win a Kentucky Derby. If you saw those funky looking race for the crown shows, obviously he don't pay his taxes, so this doesn't matter. But this is a guy that wants to win the Kentucky Derby. He doesn't have a mount. I think this is his best opportunity of the day. He's got Chug's horse. I think this horse he bounces all over the place. But look at those speed figures on this horse. He's just posts more of those 100+ speed figures than everybody else. I like him. I would put that integration on top. Coming from the rail, I think I'm not crazy about the rail at Churchill, but which I'll talk about in the next race, which I think compromises Citizen Bull. But in this race, if it wasn't the two brown horses with Spirit of St. Louis and redistricting, I think integration wins and the Browns horses get on the board. So I'd give you the one horse for this race in the Classic, Turf Classic.
All right, Jason.
All right. So I mentioned I watched replays. I watched this race. I watched. So the Munoz, Muniz, whatever, however you say the name, was the key race at. I guess it's the fairgrounds. A ton of these horses are in that race. This race is impossible to me. Like I don't like any of these horses. None of them. There's not one horse that I watched a replay of that I was impressed with. I think they all stink. Um, so I spread. My top pick is the three Highway Robber. Um, you know, um, got really good as a 3-year-old, right? Looks like kind of moved up when he turned 3. Kind of stayed good. He's been running in some graded races and all, running well. Went to Dubai, totally shit the bed. Did not run well there. A lot of horses don't. Um, Now he's returning from Dubai again. Tepid first pick, but that's my top pick. I'm also going to use, and I know I've said I don't like California horses, but I'm going to throw in the 2 Gold Phoenix. Um, Again, I don't like any of these horses, so maybe this is a race a California horse could win. Um, has run well in California, but I don't respect California turf races that much. So what I'm using for redistricting, I think you have to use the 6 taking candy. You have to use the 7 running B, and then even though the 10 is going to be the favorite, you kind of have to use him. He didn't run, he didn't run great last time. I don't think he had a great trip. Um, Maybe he bounces back here and he's just, maybe he's going to be the favorite and he's going to win. I'm taking a shot against the 1 integration. I, I don't know. I'm sorry. Turi, I know he's a Hall of Famer. He's a legend. I don't think he has it anymore. Um, I wasn't impressed watching the replays of this horse. Just taking a shot. The morning line favorite. Maybe he's not going to be the favorite, but he's the morning line favorite. And if I'm spreading that much, I'm going to take a shot against the morning line favorite. So, in no particular order, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10.
Yeah, Chalky, you're the only left.
Jimmy, I think you were kind about some of Dettori's troubles. He makes Al Capone look like a saint with some of them tax issues, I think. But anyway, so not a lot of good horses. Rinse, repeat. I'm against the 1 as well, and this will be the first time I put a horse into the winner's circle today for 2 words. Frankie Dettori. Not interested in betting him. So whether it's a smart thing or the lazy thing, I went with the obvious answer. So I'm using all 3 brown horses, but I'll put the 7 running B on top, who's 5-1 on the morning line. Pratt stays on board for that. They won this race together last year. Obviously, any of the brown horses could win, not standing out, but they're as good as anybody else. So that's the 4 redistricting and also the 10 Spirit of St. Louis. And I have the D'Amato horse as well, Gold Phoenix. D'Amato has run well in this race. He hasn't won it yet, but he's hit the board with horses before. So I'll give him a little credit there. Again, not a big fan of the California shippers in general. But if you go back and look at his Breeders' Cup, I mean, he closed in and then he couldn't make up a lot of ground, but those 3 horses that he finished behind were all better, much better than any other horse in this race, I think. So if he runs that race, it might be good enough to win on Saturday. So 5. I'm sorry, again 5. Geez, I didn't even start drinking yet. No bathtub mint juleps yet, but 7 to win with 2, 4, and 10 in the mix as well.
Tom, I just want to see these guys do flying leaps off their couches after Dettori wins this race.
Yeah, I wanted to say I didn't take kindly. I feel like some of these picks are just what's his face from the Italian league, the Columbus
well, hold on,
league.
I just picked.
Columbo would be turning over in his grave.
I just picked Umberto Rispoli to run well. So come on
Listen,
now.
I'm gonna defend the harp over there, right? Because I'm Italian too, and I just don't like the Tory anymore.
The Italians ain't good with carrying the 1. He probably just forgot to add a 5 somewhere in his taxes, and it was a math error, just like John Street's brother. He had a little bit of a math error.
It happens, stuff.
Anyway, the greatest flying dismount I have now seen in my life was that guy in the first row at the Pittsburgh game last night. But I digress.
Oh my God.
I watched that a couple times. I mean, it looks like
it looked like he had an ejector seat, and it just flew up in the air. If the guy's probably dead or almost dead, so it's not funny. But I never seen anything like it.
That was
he's in critical condition.
He'll die. I'm pretty sure he's going to die. But
They said he didn't do it purposely. He
Yeah,
just was
he got
overwhelmed.
excited and jumped up or something. But it
Yeah,
did.
he was
I know. I
probably
watched.
16 sheets to the wind, but that's like it wasn't like I don't know. I mean, like he vaulted out of his like it's like he was sleeping and got scared by the crowd and jumped into the like a horse jumps into the stands or something. I don't know,
Yeah,
but
shame Roberto Clemente's number couldn't be one, and the wall would have been shorter. But because he was number, because it's based on his number, right? 21 feet up is the wall. So
Yeah, it was.
it's
like I
it's a
said, at least
shame.
if any of us falls in Pittsburgh, it'll be into the net behind home plate. So that'll be
That's true.
All
save
right,
us.
let's go. We're at the 45-minute mark, and we got to cover 20 horses in the Kentucky Derby as we do go through every horse, horse by horse. A lot of them are just couple one-word answers, but we are going to go horse by horse. The Derby is scheduled to be 6:57, so the last race was 5:39. So you're looking at an hour and 20 minutes in between the turf race and the Derby. So
But I have to entertain Chalky for an hour and 20 minutes, basically.
so yeah, because it's not going to be good TV.
Yeah.
Um, and Jimmy D, I'll kick it off with you as our honored guest, and also alluded to some issues with the rail. So you got Citizen Bull, who is Bob Baffert running out of the one post. He is 20-1 on the morning line.
I'd be remiss if I didn't say this before we get started on this, and I'll be quick because I don't want this to go too late either. Because I got hundreds of people going to watch this particular broadcast, but there's a preponderance of broadcasts out there. There's no question about there are a dime a dozen. However, the Broad Street Hustle is the only one that does not misinform people. It brings factual information. There's no pizza reviews here. There's no cheesesteak cheap shit on here. There's no gangsters, no politics, none of that bullshit. You know what? When I do a broadcast here, I try to prepare for it a little bit because these guys prepare. And you know what? We don't always pick a winner. That's ridiculous. You can't always do that. But you know what? You don't misinform the public, and there's something to be said about that. And today we're going into the Derby. What's harder to pick than 3-year-old erratic, untested colts on a possible rainy day in a 20-horse field at Churchill Downs? Maybe 20 fillies running in that particular race. That may be harder, but this is almost an impossible race to really handicap. All you can do is conjecture. You can guess. You try to you pair information from various sources, and I have tried to do it with last eighth of a mile, and 3/4. What do they call that? I think they call that, if I'm correct on that, the final fractions. That's it. And then, of course, your
Yeah.
paragraphs go in there, time form goes in there. You use various methods, but in essence, this race is a crapshoot. And just so the people that are listening, and there really truly are going to be a lot of people listening to this broadcast. All we're trying to do is provide information. It's your money. It's your pick. D. Wayne Lucas said it the best. The horse players have opinions. The horses have the facts. So, with that said, the one post is not winning the Kentucky Derby. Forget about it. The last one that won was Ferdinand, and you don't want the fate that he met. That was only 39 years ago. If Citizen Bull fires out there in 22, they'll just eat him up in the stretch. Period. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. I'm not going to be long. I think we talked offline. Rodriguez, the 4, is scratching out of this race, which was the other Baffert horse, same owners, who was probably going to go to the lead. Citizen Bull also likes to project towards the lead. Now with the 4 out, I would assume they're going to try to send him. Obviously, if like Dornock, who didn't get out of the gate last year from the 1, had no shot to get the lead. If Citizen Bull gets out clean, I think they're going to send the horse. So definitely could be a pace factor, but no chance to even hit the board, in my opinion. Chalky?
But prior to the draw, he was a horse that I thought about a little bit only because we've seen Baffert do this. Horse comes in with a prep and then pops one in the Derby through hay and oats or whatever. But the one post just killed any thoughts I had of that. I mean, even with Rodriguez scratching, Nikos, American Promise, Admire Daytona, plus some of the other horses could all be going for the lead. So he's not going to get out there, and he might not. He might be 8th because he gets jammed in there. So no.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, obviously from the one post he's got to go, and he's probably got a quarter horse go. So I think he's going to make the race fast. But he's not coming into the race well, and he's not for me. I'm not using him.
Okay, that was quick. The second horse, 31. Somebody help me. Neoequitas.
Neo Equos.
Yeah,
Neil Equid.
yeah.
Neoequitas. A programming alert here. If you do have PPs in front of you, Flavian Pratt is off of the two horse for Luis Saez because that was the scratch. He was on the scratched horse. Well, Saez was on a horse that got kind of scratched prior to the draw. So a little bit of a jock change. So you get Saez, who is a kind of a speed jock, and I'll kick us off here. This horse does like to go to set the pace in both the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby. Another one that could be a pace factor. Saez could send. These are the tough horses to not handicap whether they can win. The horse has zero chance to win, but whether it will become a pace factor because the horse could ultimately be sent and speed up the pace, or it could just be an also ran and never really factors and runs mid pack and finishes last. Or so. Just watch this horse. If the horse gets out early and goes to the lead, I think you could project a pretty fast pace. But horse has no chance. Chalky.
Yeah, the impact he does or doesn't have is going to be whether he makes the pace or not. Is not going to hit the board. Is not going to win.
And Jason.
Yeah, I mean, a horse. This is a horse that wants to go. He's going to go with Saez, especially. He's going to go, and he's just not good enough. I mean, he might. I don't even know if is he fast enough to even speed up the pace. Maybe I don't know, but he's got no chance.
Jimmy D.
He goes and he's cooked. There's no way in the world, and can't see it. It just won't happen. Not on Saturday.
All right. And the third horse is Final Gambit out of Brad Cox, written by, I don't know his first. We'll go with Louis Machado. No idea.
Luan.
Luvan Machado. 31 on the morning line. Chalky, you're up.
He's probably one of a dozen horses that could get third or fourth, but he's not going to win.
Jason.
Yeah, he's a deep closer. This is his first time on dirt. Now, I watched a lot of replays. This horse had a huge turn of foot at Turfway Park. Now, that was at Turfway Park, of course. Don't know if it's going to translate into dirt, but I don't think he could win, but he could probably get bottom of the board.
Yeah, I this is the first horse that I have that can hit the board. And when I say hit the board, I didn't differentiate this year from second, third, fourth. Hit the board. So he can get second, he can get third, he can get fourth
Yeah.
for the same reasons. Especially if he gets some horses cooked. So much is trip dependent. I mean, he's coming late. If he doesn't, he could be the horse that doesn't get blocked. He could get blocked. Jeff Ruby Stakes has produced. I mean, Strike, whatever his name was,
Strike.
Scrub Strike, whatever,
Right.
Stinky Strike, whatever his name was. He came out of it. There's been a couple other horses that have transferred
Two
from
fills recently as well.
yeah. So I mean, and we always said kind of turf horses and synthetic horses can translate to the Churchill track. So first horse that I have that can hit the board in Final Gambit, but I don't see as a win candidate, as I really don't see any horse besides one. Jimmy
It would
D.
have to be a rich strike type of race, Tom. This horse, he breaks 12th in the Jeff Ruby and he wins the race. That sounds like a rich strike type of race. He's a synthetic horse. He's bred for the dirt, so there's a dirt pedigree there. He's lightly raced, but he's been not doing nothing but synthetic racing. Hard to project that kind of horse. I guess he makes the exotics if he gets in there, but he's not going to be on my ticket. No way.
Okay. Well, it's as we said, the other Baffert Rodriguez has been scratched from the race, so we'll move to the 5. American Promise. He is 30-1 on the morning line. He's the Wayne Lucas's horse. So Jimmy D, maybe we got first horse that can win.
Yeah.
And I believe I got this one right. Nick Suarez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
right.
the days at Monmouth, and you know what happened with Monmouth and Dutro and the boys. And Nick was the leading jockey at that time, so I guess he benefited from all the what did you call them, Jason? Flintstone vitamins, I believe.
Vitamins. Yeah.
But anyhow, this horse set the track record at Colonial, which is sort of like setting the track record at 16th and Jackson. Um, I wouldn't give him any credence for that. He's got 49 days off coming into this race. I listened to the coach, Wayne Lucas, who's 155 years old. Um, I don't see this horse at all. I don't think he belongs. I'm off him entirely.
Yeah, he's a could be another horse that could factor into the pace. I mean, for sure, no chance to win, no chance to hit the board, but a horse that you want would, depending on who you like, you may want to see involved early. Chalky.
I promise you, this horse cannot win the Derby and will not likely hit the board.
All right, now you're gonna hear from Jason a lot here because Jason's next. He's gonna finish American Promise, the 5 horse here.
Yeah, another horse that wants to go, like you said, is going to speed up the pace. Virginia Derby horse, and I'm going to pass.
All right, and now from the days of thundering snow, I give Jason first crack at the Japanese horses, and this is Admire Daytona, the 6 horse, 30-1. Whew. We're gonna go with Charlie Lemaire as a Japanese horse. Just throwing it out there. Jason, you kick us off.
So this race, I hear people talking about the pace and all the horses that are going to make the pace. This horse wants to go too. This horse is going to go, and we know Japanese horses sometimes speed up the race. Got no chance at all. I mean, he's a total toss, but I think he's going to be a pace factor.
Yeah, I mean, same. He could be a pace factor. Now, the Japanese are gonna win the Derby one of these days. It's not gonna be with this horse. Chalky.
Yeah, pace factor, but that will lead to him admiring the backside of probably about 16 or 17 other horses come the end of the race. So, no.
Jimmy
He
D.
can't even beat the other Japanese horse. So, but to give one to Jason, he paired 4s, so maybe he's looking for an improvement. I'm trying to incorporate your thoroughgraphs, Jay. So I'll give you a shout out with that. But he's got no shot.
All right, now let's move to the second Japanese horse, Luxor Cafe. He is 15-1, so the better of the two for sure. It's got a whole slew of the trainer Haru, and Jose Moreira. I don't know any of these connections. Jason, kick us off with the Japanese horse.
So Jimmy D mentioned Thorograph. So I did a lot of research with going back and looking at past derbies and the Thorographs of horses that coming into the Derby and what they ran in the Derby. It seems to me that you basically need to run less than a 3. So
Yeah.
now, not that you've already run that, but you have to run that to win the Derby. So you have to run a 2, a 1, a 0, negative number, whatever. So this Luxor Cafe is has paired 3s. So he could jump up into a number that could qualify to win the Derby. Now, is he going to win the Derby? It's doubtful. He's also 3 for 4 and wet. So, I mean, I think he's a horse you might have to use defensively for the board at least. I don't, I'm kind of similar to Tommy's overall opinion of who's going to win the race, but he's interesting.
I do not look at thoroughgraphs when it comes to races in Japan and races in Dubai. You tell me there's frivolous folks over in New York have a slew of people in Japan setting speed for get out give no chance.
Muji Hockey is their
No chance these speed figures.
he's
Now
their
I did I did
Really
hear
true.
Randy Moss I did hear Randy Moss speak about his speed figures in general, who makes, he's a speed maker. And he actually used, I couldn't remember and I can't go into it, but he used based on other races, other horse, all these logics. And that's how he comes up with a speed figure when it comes to these international races. And he said he's a horse that in past years, the Japanese had better horses coming into this race. However, this field is not the greatest field, and his
Yeah.
numbers coming into this race are not like terribly behind the rest of the field. He would still need to improve. With that said, and he like went into he took a race off, a whole thing. So he didn't have him as a horse that could win, but not like wouldn't be completely shocked. So I have to trust guys that like watch this. I don't know that these types of horses, these Japanese horses. So I'm gonna just say no board for me at all on this, but I really don't have a strong opinion. Jimmy D.
I don't know what the hell this horse is about, but I don't think he's forever young. I don't see that. But again, I'm looking at the money betting pattern. It's strong. It's strong throughout Japan. Every one of his races. I see Ryan Moore goes over there and rides in Japan for this particular horse. So he must have thought highly of him. I, I don't know. It's just hard because there's nothing shown in the front with these horses. So what do you say? He's won. This horse has won a couple of these races at distance. He could sneak in. I certainly couldn't bet him with any confidence. That's for sure. He's much better than the other Japanese horse, but to say he's going to beat these horses even in a weak field time, I don't think so.
Chalky.
He's a board horse for me for sure, and he would not be the most surprising Derby winner we've had in the last 5 years based on his speed numbers if he does win, but I don't see him winning.
Okay, now comes the 8 horse, the morning line favorite, and will be the post time favorite. Mike McCarthy's got journalism. Umberto Respoli rides. So little route there. Jason, as I said, we're going to hear from you a lot in these next 3 horses. I'm going to kick it off to you. Journalism, the 8 horse, 3-1 morning line.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a deserving favorite. There's no knocks on this horse. I mean, okay, maybe you could try to knock him for not running against a bunch of horses in his races, but he did have trouble in the last race and was able to maneuver out of the trouble and win easily against pretty decent horses. Um, Maybe you want to say Rispoli is a little bit of a knock because doesn't have Derby experience, possibly. Other than that, the trainer is not a knock. I mean, McCarthy has won a classic before. Um, I, I I I find it hard to believe that this horse is going to lose. He could have traffic trouble. Rispoli could have him too close to a fast pace. Maybe all that stuff could happen. Maybe he doesn't like if it's wet. He has a good Tomlinson. I don't know how much that will matter, but his Tomlinson for wet is pretty good. I have no knocks on this horse. I'm going to lean heavily on this horse. I mean, I think he wins.
Yeah, and I can't disagree with pretty much anything Jason says. He's my Derby pick, my sole Derby pick. Hate to take the chalk, although chalk hasn't really won recently, so maybe this is back to the year. One thing Jason said, and I was trying to spin everything in a positive way because it's the horse I like, so I don't want to I don't want to say anything negative. But Rispoli is a very good, he's an international jockey, very good turf rider, which tends to have trip dependency, more horses. So
Yeah.
maybe having Rispoli in a 20 horse field
Yeah.
could be beneficial because it's a race that you really need a trip, you need to navigate the traffic. He should sit right off the speed. With that said, he did get the horse in trouble in a 5 horse race, which isn't great, but the horse overcame that against and beat a horse that got first jump on him in a track that tends to play the speed, and one that a lot of people like coming into this race that did get into the race. So that's just a little ad, but he is my sole pick for the Derby, the 8 journalism. Chalky?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree or argue against anything you guys have said. He's my single on the pick 5. We give out tickets. There's only one other horse I would even think about using very lightly, but he's the solid, stone cold, legitimate favorite. Horses can be funny creatures, so maybe 20 horses spooks him out. He doesn't like it because he's only been running against 5. I don't know, but I can't use that as a knock on him. Now, if he does get in trouble, it's a lot easier to get out of trouble against 4 other horses than 19. So, hopefully, for those of us that have picked him so far, it wouldn't be that bad. But he is the Derby horse that has looked the best on the track. I think one person said this is the best Derby works he's seen since Barbaro, which we saw how he did in the Derby. Hopefully, he avoids the fate, much like Ferdinand we were talking about earlier. But yeah, it's journalism single in the pick 5 for me.
Jimmy D.
Jimmy the Chalk, you got more balls than I do because I think you're crazy. And I love you, but there's no question about you single a horse in the rain and coming from the back of the pack in a 20 horse field. You better hope that this horse has set a novena the night before. This horse qualifies on all accounts. He's a great horse, journalism. I was talking about those final fractions, and let me be clear about that. That meant in the last 3/8, they went under 36 seconds, and then the last eighth under 13 seconds. Just to be clear, this horse would qualify on both counts. That's how good he is. He ran in small fields in the West, but there were good small fields. He got trapped in one of those races by good horses, and he was able to get out and still win. He could easily be undefeated. Rispoli's a good jockey. I don't have anything against him. Is he raw in the Kentucky Derby? Yeah, that's fine, but I don't see that as a hindrance. It's a horse race. It's not a jockey race. There's nothing wrong with this horse. Could he win? Certainly. Would I put him on the board? Certainly. He is not my top pick because it's the Kentucky Derby in the rain in a problematic type of situation, circumstance. I've sat there, I've seen these situations where I sat on the finish line. There was a monster crowd in the infield, a monster crowd in the audio, which happened to be the grandstand. These horses are freaked out by all of that. They're 3-year-old colts. To lay something with a 2-1, 6-5, you're crazy. You need a price in this kind of race. Tommy?
All right, going for the value. All right, number 9, Burnham Square, Ian Wilkes, and last year's Kentucky Derby jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. He is 12-1. Chalky, kick us off.
Well, so this is easy because this is the other horse I was referring to when we talked about journalism. So if journalism gets in trouble or something happens, Burnham Square is the other horse I would like to have involved. So again, back to the thoroughgrass, paired 7s, paired 4s, ran a 1 in the bluegrass. If he pairs his 1 or improves, that's a number that's going to be fast enough to win this race. He's going to be coming from the back, which not ideal in 20 horses, but the pace will set up. Hernandez won this race last year. Hernandez knows Churchill. This horse has won at Churchill, so I think Hernandez will have him placed well. So this would be the only other horse I use in anything to win other than journalism.
Hey, can I interrupt this for a baseball IQ comment? There's 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth.
Oh, jeez.
Rojas hits the ball into the corner. And instead of stopping at second, he tries to get to third, and he makes it. Barely. You're down 2 runs. Where's the baseball IQ in a play like that? I'm sorry.
I was told I couldn't. I was told there wouldn't be time to slander Rojas on this because I have a lot to say.
I'm sorry.
I have a lot
I've
to
just
say.
never seen a player have a lower baseball IQ than this guy
Yeah.
in my life. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, nice. No. Well, Jason, you're up for Burnham Square.
So I never liked Burnham Square in like any of the prep races. I was always against the horse. But the more I watch him, and again, I'm not picking him to win. I don't think he's going to win. I really like him for the board. Like I mean, if you ask me for a cold exacta, I would probably give you 8-9 in this Derby. I think he's a horse that's gonna get up into the board somewhere. Um, and that's going to be one of my big exactas, 8/9.
Jimmy D.
Burnham Square, I wasn't particularly impressed. A mile and an eighth and 151 and 1. I kind of think it was a slow race. Who did he beat? East Avenue? Uh, I don't like him. I just don't. I don't see it. I know he closes. I know it's going to be a closer. I think it's going to be a closer's race, but I don't see Burnham Squares fast enough.
Here's the one thing that I should be doing and I'm not is talking about the thoroughgraphs with these horses. So Burnham Square, he paired fours and then he jumped up to a one the next race. So if he pairs that one or if he improves on that one, I think he's right there in the mix.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody else pretty intelligent say that as well. So makes a good
Yeah,
point.
Chuck, he said.
Oh, did you say that? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were worried about
You were
Rojas.
watching yeah, so I don't know about Burnham Square. He's been one I've gone back and forth for. I don't I mean I have journalism up top and I don't have a ton of horses down below. So he is a horse I defensively I'll put on the board only for lack of not having a lot of horses. Um but I can see this horse hitting the board. I can see this horse just being an also ran. You know, to Jimmy D's point, that was a very slow final fraction in the bluegrass. Now it was a super fast pace, so it makes sense that they, can crawl home. But I actually like the other horse better out of that race than Burnham Square, who got the setup. But defensively, I'm okay with Burnham Square. All right, the 10 horse is Grande. He's 21 more line. Todd Pletcher, Johnny V. And this is the blowhard, like Jimmy D mentioned. If you watch that for the race for the crown, Mike Rapoli horse, um, you know, talking about, would just watch it. But I actually like this. He's my second. If you gave me one horse to put second, he's the horse I put second. Just got an awful, trip in the wood. Was able to get up. The numbers came back well. Maybe you don't trust that speed figure, but to quote the thoroughgraphs, he paired fives for his first two races. Went jumped to a zero, which is huge. If he runs back to a zero, back to a one, gets a better trip. He could get a nice setup. He has some tactical speed, but he proved in the wood he can run off the pace as well. I would have rather seen Dylan Davis ride than Johnny V personally, but maybe Rispoli would not having the favorite come into the Derby is the year that he makes a little bit more noise. So I like this horse for the board. I mean, like I said, if Jason mentioned 9 as his big exact, I think 10 would be my big exact. So I like 10. Not much else I could say. Jason?
I feel the same way. I like that he paired fives and then jumped to a zero. I do have questions. Like, is that too big of a jump? Like, is he going to really bounce off of that and bounce back to a three or something like that? I have concerns that he only ran 3 times. I have concerns with Johnny V, who I think is slipping a little bit at this point. But he's obviously talented. Ran really well on the wood. I know the wood hasn't really produced anybody lately, but I mean, there's no knocks there. He did run well. He was wide, and him and Rodriguez were the only horses that really ran well in the race. I would use him for the board as well. I would have no problems using him second.
All right, Jimmy D.
It's really when you say stuff happens, Tom. You're right. You would lose with Forte, you would lose with Fierceness. You'd have your favorites, and now you come in with a 20-1 shot to win the Derby, and that bloviated, nonsensical, goofy looking Mike Rapoli just could do something like that. But he's not my horse. It's only his fourth start. I get it. There's no foundation under this horse. He ran wide in the wood. He closed. I don't see it. I hear you with that. He paired the fives, went to the zero. Wonderful move. He's looking like this horse can really be a good horse at some point in time, but he just started in January. Traditionally, Kentucky Derby horses, and I know it's changing now, but 3 starts really. You need a little bit more foundation under you. I can't see Grande winning from the 10 in a race that's just congested. Not on Saturday.
Jimmy D. Jimmy the Chalk.
I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I talk about patterns and say this horse has no chance. So he ran 2 points better on the sheets than the winner of that race, Rodriguez, did last time out. Yeah, I'm going to throw him in somewhere on the board. I think it is too big of a jump to obviously consider him to win since I already said the two horses I thought could win. And I don't think Johnny V is going to move this horse up enough to, unless the horse is just an absolute monster, But board horse, yeah, but not in the mix to win.
All right, the 11 horse, Flying Mohawk, Beckham Whitworth, right? Or Whitworth Beckham is the trainer. I think he was Jimmy D alluded to him. Whew, JD. So Juan Dominguez Ramos as the jockey. Um, this is Jason Worth's horse, right? Didn't he buy into him or did something? I
Yes,
think he
Yeah.
owns him.
correct.
Speaking of annoying people from the Netflix documentary,
Correct. Correct. Right.
That's
Chalky, I'll let you go first here. The 11, he's
I won't
31.
slander the horse because that got me in trouble last year with Dornick, but I'm just going to say no. For whatever question you want to ask about, no.
Jimmy D.
that's a good answer to be honest. Flying Mohawk, I don't know what to say about him. The horse was 10-1 in the Jeff Ruby. What's he going to be on Saturday? 70-1. Uh, I can't see him at all. I don't like the name. I don't even like the haircut.
Jason.
Yeah, I mean, deep closer. His numbers are slow. I mean, total toss for me. Just total toss.
Yeah, in the absence of time, he's a total toss for me as well. The number 12, East Avenue, Brendan Walsh, Manny Franco. He is a 21, ran second in the Bluegrass. Jason, kick us off there.
So this horse just wants to go to the lead. Is he a horse as a bomb that maybe you use? Maybe if things go crazy somewhere else and he gets an easy lead somehow. If if the one doesn't get out of the gate, and who knows what else goofy stuff happens. Does this horse have a bomb's chance? Will you, at some point in a race, be happy that you have a bet on the horse that's leading at some point? I mean, I can't knock anybody that would use this horse. I'm probably gonna, if I use good cheer and a double, Oaks Derby double, I'll probably throw a couple bucks on 11 with the 12 here.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better. This is probably my bomb of a horse that can hit the board. I alluded to the Bluegrass finishing slow, but nonetheless, River Thames, who we all liked, I liked in the race prior to Bluegrass, had a better trip where the horse sat off the crazy fast pace because it was a very fast pace and kind of backed up where East Avenue kept going. Now, it wasn't a fast finish, but kept going. And Burnham Square had to use every inch of the track to get by him. Um, to Jason's point, we've seen it with other derbies. They look fast. They look fast. A couple horses don't get out of the gate. Horse gets out to a quick lead. Everybody gets scared and backs off, thinking it's going to be super fast, and the horse just keeps going. Um, so I can see that scenario. Maybe the wet, horse gets out to a lead, and the wet affects the horses behind him. So he's a bomb that I am going to use for the board. And to Jason's point, like, or to Jimmy D too, saying journalism, taking a sure price on journalism. Well, if you're not going to take a sure price on journalism, you got to look for a price and not the next choice. So he's a price that I could see, maybe slipping away. So I like him. Chalky.
I mean, I kind of liked him a little bit in the Bluegrass, at least be a part of it. He ran back to the style and the figures that made him the favorite in the juvenile. I just think there's a lot that has to go right with the other horses going wrong for him to be able to win this race, being on the lead if that's where he's going to go, and that's where he needs to be to win if you look at the PPs. So could he hold on and drop to third or fourth? Yeah. If he drifts to 35, 40 to 1, is that value? Perhaps, but I'm not putting him in there for a win.
Jimmy D.
East Avenue is an interesting horse. It's one of my favorite places on earth, East Avenue. I think I broke my maiden on East Avenue. Anyhow, um, he improves his speed figure by 22, points. That's dangerous. It's very dangerous in a situation where this horse is improving, lightly raced. Could he get a piece of this? Absolutely. He was the favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. People forget that. And then he came back in the Risen Star. He was still the favorite, 80 cents to a dollar. People believe in this horse. There's something about this horse that may be sneaky good. I wouldn't leave him off the ticket. I'll say that.
All right, all in agreement there. All right, the 13th horse is Steve Asmussen looking for his first Derby. He is 31, ridden by Irad Ortiz. Chalky.
We talked about this horse a little bit over the weekend when we were playing golf, and he was a horse that I was thinking about. I backed off a little bit. Irad on is great, but he'll get bet. And first time Irad on, I'll let Jason get to that because it's part of his. I just an 0 for 7 maiden in the Derby. I know we have first level allowance horses win the Derby nowadays. I just can't back that kind of horse here. Is he a try play? Yeah, absolutely. But I can't put him in first.
Yeah, I agree with Chalky. I mean, no chance at winning. And again, I said the horses I'm using, I'll just use second and third for just for argument's sake. More likely, probably a third or fourth horse, but supposedly training well, and Jason probably has a little more information on that. But yeah, he's a trifecta horse for me. Definitely, he's one of the horses that can hit the board. Jimmy D.
I don't even know why this horse is in the race. Uh, and that's the problem with these 3-year-old Kentucky Derbies. Some of these people just want to take that walk down, the walkover. It's nonsense. This horse is. I ride on a 20-1 shot. What's that telling you? It's telling me that these owners have some other horses that he wants to run for. That's all it's telling me. Because there's no way in the world that he would ride a horse like this in a big race. He never does. Absolutely never does. Can the horse win? Is there potential behind him? Maybe. I don't see it. I don't see it immediately. He's a maiden. How many maidens win the Kentucky Derby? Uh, to me, he's going to be coming from way back. He doesn't have any foundation that the other horses that we talked about have. If this horse wins, it's a fluke. If he wins, God bless you. I won't have him.
I mean, one thing is that the Arkansas Derby was the first time he wore blinkers, and the horse did improve. So I know, we did and we'll get to it's not it wasn't the Derby, but a horse later. But Baeza there was a horse that ran in that race that was a maiden and ran well against journalism in Baeza. So I mean, you know, always crossing the finish line isn't necessarily now. I don't think the horse can win, like we said, but I don't know. I don't have a problem with that. There was
Now,
a
Tom,
horse
I
in Belmont
would
that was
agree with
pretty
you, Tom, but he's a
bad.
7-time maiden. He's not a 3-time maiden or a 4th maiden. You know
Correct.
what I mean? Like it's been there a little bit.
Well, Gus King wanted to honor Brederton, who is the Gus King in the estate of Brederton or the owner. So I
Breder and
guess he
C.
wanted to honor him
Jones.
by
Yeah.
name.
Just for history, 3 horses have won the Derby as maidens. Buchanan in 1884, Sir Barton, who went on to win the Triple Crown in 1919, and Broker's Tip in 1933.
Yeah, if I remember, Buchanan edged me out for the pick 5 that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, publisher.
Yeah. So, first of all, I don't like when Irad jumps on a horse for the first time in the Derby. I've seen it before. He ruins the value of a horse. He doesn't run the horse the way the horse should be run. I don't like that at all. That being said, uh, it was maybe 15 years ago. I remember hearing Larry Jones say that proud citizen horses love the Churchill Downs track. This the dam of publisher is by proud citizen. All of a sudden now, I hear that this horse is training lights out. He's outrunning his stablemate Tiz Tastic. Um, I hear Welsh saying how great the horse looks on the track, and he's training well and all. And I want to scream, he's a proud citizen. That's why. Um, I think he's interesting. Obviously, I doubt he could win. I am absolutely using him for the board. Absolutely, I'm going to play an exacta with him second, behind the 8. He's more than likely a third or fourth horse, but um, I mean, Tommy made a great point. He added blinkers. He dropped down to a 3 in the Thorograph. If he improves off of that, he's in a number that's going to contend. Um, I don't know. I'm using him for the board for sure.
All right, let's move on. Another Steve Aspen, the 14 horse Tis Tastic, who Jason just alluded to, ridden by Joel Rosario, is a 20 to 1 horse. Don't see the horse having any chance to win, and I don't like for the board. Jason,
I would agree and would agree. I do not like this horse. He's apparently not training well. I'm against this horse.
Chalky,
Board.
Jimmy D.
Surprised Asmussen decided to ride it, run him in the Derby. Sometimes I think it's just the owners pressuring these trainers. The horse is going to be good, a lot of potential, but not yet.
Okay, 15. This should be quick. Rendered Judgment. Kenny McPeak, ridden by Julian Leperoux. 31, going to be north of 80 to 1. Jimmy D, you kick us off there.
Yeah, it's a sentimental thing. I get it with the Toby Keith thing. That's great. God bless him. I hope he does well. But come on, he shouldn't be in the race.
Yeah, Render Judgment will be battling out with. I won't say the other horses because we haven't gone over them yet. We'll be battling for last place. Chalky.
Yeah, this is going to be the second horse that I put into the winner's circle by my comments. This is a disgrace. This horse has no business running on Saturday. McPeak, who is game as anything to run, did not want to run the horse.
That's
The
right.
next day they say, well, we're running because the owners want to run because Toby Keith died. We're going to honor him by having this horse break down in front of 150,000 people or whatever. I don't know.
It's
Now,
true.
this morning, the horse pops a quarter crack, and McPeak says, well, we're still going to run because the owners want to run. Awful. No. Next.
I didn't even know about that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Did he really
Jason.
crack the quarter crack talk? Real wow.
He's got he's a quarter
Yes.
crack this morning, they said, but he's still
Yes,
running.
that is true. Yes.
Well, he has to get past the vet, though. I mean, we'll see.
That
You know.
that is. So I mean, I think they'd
See.
scratch him out of precaution certainly if they did it to Forte,
Yeah.
but
Total toss. I'm not going to waste time.
All right, Cold Battle. The 16th is Lonnie Broly. I think he lives down the street from me.
Riley.
Lonnie Donegan. Was it?
I don't know. And JP, I'll go with Juan again, Juan Vargas. Total toss. Jason?
Total toss. I don't think the horse is fast enough. It's a good story, but I mean, I'm not using them at all.
Chalky.
Would be a great story, but it will not make me any money if he wins. So no.
Jimmy D.
You guys are so non-compassionate. Yeah, Ronnie Brawley's 155 years old. His first Derby horse. Don't you guys have any sentimental value? Don't you have any kind?
He was the assistant. He was the assistant trainer, Ron Buchanan. All right, so he's already got a Derby in his barn. Like, come on.
I hear you. I hear you. But no,
Yeah,
he's
when
a
it gets
boss,
down to
there's
these
no
guys, I don't know
question.
who
But how could you not root for him? I get it. Go ahead, Tom. I'm done with him.
All right. The number 17, the Sandman, Mark Cassie, written by Jose Ortiz. He is 6 to 1, so one of the lower priced horses. Jason, kick us off there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his thoroughgraphs, he paired fours and jumped up to a one. However, his three worst races were at Churchill Downs. I don't think he likes the track. I don't like this horse at all. I hope he gets bet because I'm going to toss this horse. Horses that don't like Churchill Downs don't like Churchill Downs. So, he's a toss for me.
Yeah, Jimmy D.
Like these closers, deep closers, and Sandman's an easy horse to like. He's a big gray, but he seems to gallop out better than he runs. He needs to go. Everything needs to go right for him. And I've been talking all night about how difficult it is for 3-year-olds in a rainy day and 20 horses and all of that. For everything to go right for him, it's just unrealistic to think that can happen for him. He's going to take money, this horse, and I think it's wasted money. I don't like Sandman in this particular race. He's a long striding horse that's never going to get the opportunity to be in the clear to really get his game under him. I don't like him. They spent a lot of money to get this horse. It was a $1.2 million purchase, but I don't think the Derby on Saturday is going to be his day.
Uh, yeah, I gotta. I'll tag what Jason said. I'll tag what Jimmy D say. He's, I not a horse that I will back on the board or to win. Of course, is a horse that I think will get some money. So that's good. Um, so yeah, not much. I'm glad the horse is in the race because I don't like him and I think he's gonna take money. Chalky.
I mean, the horse could very easily get third or even second, but at the second choice right now, I can't put him on the ticket for a bet. So he'll get that West Point money and everything. So
Also, if I'm sorry, John, I thought you were done.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not using him in the try or super or even exacta. So yeah,
If you watch that last race, he was all over the track coming down the
He
stretch.
does.
yeah.
So I
They
don't know.
they
He does it
they I think
all
they
the
did an
time.
inquiry on that, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
So
erratic.
I do not like him.
All right, the 18 horse Billy Mott's Sovereignty Junior Alvarado. He is 5-1, so he's the second choice. Chalky, not Sandman, right?
Well, I got the live odds. We'll cover that when we're done.
Live odds are nonsense. But I mean, there's like $8 bet. Jimmy D, I don't believe I heard a Derby pick from you because you did say that you had a different horse than journalism. Now I could be misreading. Maybe it's Baez or maybe it's Owen Almighty. But I'm gonna let you kick it off with Sovereignty.
Well, you know I'm going to pick Sovereignty, my friend, and I know it in your voice. Um, and Tommy, I don't necessarily like to go away from the favorite to go to what might be the second choice, but this horse is going to run on the pace. I like that. He's his sixth start in his career. He comes running in every race. I love Billy Mott. I love the way he handles 3-year-olds. In that situation with Alvarado, it's just they team up together well, and it just seems like in this particular race, Sovereignty's won a race at Churchill Downs. I always like that, a horse for a course. He's come back. When he did lose, he was gaining on Tappan Street. He hasn't done anything wrong, and he's maturing as a horse. I really think Mott brings these horses along well. This might be his best 3-year-old ever, even better than who was it, Mandaloon, who wound up winning accidentally or whatever in that crazy.
No, that's you're
That's Cox.
right concept, wrong year.
Who was
Yeah, Cox had
He won.
Mandaloon.
He
Country
won with
House.
the
Country
Country
House,
House.
Country House.
yeah.
it? Country House with the takedown, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took it. They took the
They
win
took
from
the
that,
other
At
horse
least
that-
if
that
you got
stand-up trainer.
if you actually
Rehab.
bet Country House, you got paid. Unlike those of us that bet Mandaloon and did not get paid a year
Yeah,
later.
they robbed
Correct.
that poor service fella of a derby. That
yeah,
poor.
And they robbed us because we
Yeah.
had him.
yeah, services.
We
Not
also
not
had
concerned about Jason's service not winning the Derby. It's that we didn't hit the bet.
Of course, because Jason Service is pure and chased from afar, no doubt about that. But I just think Sovereignty he's a developing horse, and he's an into mischief, and into mischief has been very successful with 3-year-olds. I just think it might be the right time. I know he comes running a little bit, and journalism comes running, and if he gets first jump, it would be like my Casa Creed not getting first jump. But in this particular situation, I just think time is right. I kind of like Mott's horse Sovereignty to win the Derby.
Okay, chalky.
I mean, take what I said about Sandman and apply it to Sovereignty. I mean, the horse could run very well. Paired fives, paired ones. I don't think he's going to win, so I'm going to keep him off the board in my bets because he'll be second or third choice.
Jason.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of knocks on this horse. I mean, like Chalky just mentioned, like I like his thorough pattern. He paired fives, moves up to a one, paired to one. Does he move up again? Um, 18, I mean, he's going to close anyway, so that doesn't matter. He's just going to maybe move in and, maybe tip out somewhere down the stretch. Alvarado's back on him. I don't have any knocks on this horse. I mean, if for some reason journalism, hoops the bed. I can't say
Really,
this horse.
that's the point where you decide to censor yourself tonight so far.
Why did I say stuff that should be censored?
You said a lot
I
worse than
don't.
that to this point. It
Did I?
proves to be
Okay.
no.
I'll
Sorry.
say shit the bed
There you
then.
go.
That's
Thank you.
why
We're not doing any
I
edits tonight. This is going out as
it'll
is.
keep. Yeah, it'll keep with the. Um, I don't have any knocks on this horse. I just think journalism's going to win. But if he doesn't, this horse could win.
Yeah, I agree with everything Jason said, and I don't know, Chalky. What you said doesn't. I mean, the horse has a legitimate like. Why just because he's going to be the second choice, you're not going to play him on like he's a horse that could win the race for sure. Now I like journalism. I'm going to single journalism, but how I'm not going to just throw him off the ticket for second or third because I think he's going to be the second
I mean,
choice. I mean,
I'm not going crazy with money because I can't pick the
but what
Derby
I'm
or
saying is,
most
you bet a
races. But look,
$20. You bet.
but if you
Bet a
like,
$20 trifecta and it turns into 24 at sovereignty. He easily
look,
can win second,
I've
third.
hit some nice Derby trifectas with having the favorite and a bomb in between and a logical choice underneath. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
not have him, yes, but if I end up with like a, I don't know who the hell here is going to run that. No, I'm probably not going to use him. But yeah, you could do that, sure. I mean, it could be profitable
Yeah, I mean,
if
I
you
just think
really
it's a,
it's just you're going to limit it to bombs in that second slot, let's say, because if it's journalism, Sandman sovereignty, unless you're stone cold single in those spots, you're not going to make anything on it.
yeah. I mean, I got journalism first. I'm not going to limit myself in a second and third choice with horse that could possibly win the race. So he's a must use for the board for me. Um, all right, let's move this along. Three more horses. 19 chunk of gold. Good story. Ethan West. Loveberry with Jerry Loveberry, Jerry Seinfeld. No chance, Jason.
Cherries.
I mean, could he get fourth? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, but he's not going to
No,
win.
he can't. He can't get fourth.
No.
Jimmy D.
Tom, I love the way you make a biblical name, Jerry. That's great.
What is
You'd
it?
be a great
Jared,
priest. I swear.
it's Jared,
Nonetheless,
I believe. Or,
yeah, but that's okay. It's really he's the cheapest horse you can find. I think you can get him for $1.95, but he's got no shot. Another horse
No.
should be nowhere near this race, but he's in the race. I guess Terry Stevens, whoever that was, wanted to enter his horse in the Kentucky Derby. God bless him.
Chalky.
hey, Jareth Loveberry is 1-for-1 in hitting the board. So if you like him for second, then you could play Sovereignty third. But no, I'm not using that. I don't think.
All right, the 20 horse Owen Almighty, trained by Brian Litch, ridden by JJ Castellana, whatever. Uh, um, shouldn't be in the race. The owners want to run him. Horse stinks, no shot. Jimmy D.
Same thing. Distance he'll never get. It's a joke that he's in the race. They didn't want to run him in this race. The owners insisted upon it. I guess it's Kentucky Derby fever. I know everybody gets it. I hope one day I can get it, but he shouldn't be in the race.
Chalky
Nope.
and Jason.
Has no chance. But if he decides to try to get the lead, he's really going to make the race fast.
Yeah, he's definitely a pace. He's a pace. Could be a pace
Good.
factor.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
For sure. All right, now let's finish off. 21 Baeza, John Sheriffs. Flavian Pratt will be riding. Ran second to journalism. Almost beat journalism in the Santa Anita Derby. Horse that a lot of people like. Tough post. He is 12 to 1 morning line. I could see that going lower. Jason?
Yeah, I'm glad he's in the race because I'm against this horse. And I think, like you said, a lot of people are going to bet him. He's got an impossible post. He doesn't have a lot of foundation under him. I mean, I don't know. Is he talented? Yeah. I He's not for me. I mean, this is a horse that I like that is coming into the race.
Yeah, Chalky.
It's going to take a lot of money. I would be very, very surprised to see him win, and I will not likely have on a ticket in any form.
Jimmy D.
He ran a great race against journalism, and it's going to make him a popular horse, a hot horse. He gets in. and they got that rich strike mentality. That post is ridiculous. Again, I've sat in those seats. I'm not bragging about that, fellas. That's the worst seats in the house. It happens to be near the finish line. That's where I sat. It rains, you get wet, all that kind of shit. But nonetheless, it's impossible. You got to really move to get when you're 21 out or 20 out. It's ridiculous. You really have to move to get to the front. I don't know where this is going. He's in. He's going to be bet. I think Jason has a point. If you don't like him, it's good. He's a half the mage. I guess that's another reason he let bet. But I just see him eating up some money, and I'm glad he's in too because he's not winning.
Half the
Yeah,
main under or not?
yeah. During that's a hell of a mare.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I'm a little I'm happy the horse is in the race, and I'm a little disappointed the horse is in the race because I do like this horse. He made first crack into a fast pace in that San Diego Derby and was able to sustain his run and almost beat Journalism, who I think is going to win the Kentucky Derby. I just think the post is just like
Sure,
impossible. Um,
sure.
I don't see a race or a style that the horse could win. Coming from that post, and to Jimmy D's point, Rich Drake won it with the most improbable ride of all time.
Yeah.
Went to the railroad. You know what I mean? It was like you watch the aerial, like it's a once in a lifetime kind of ride to win it from the 21 post.
And
Not
who's
going to
the
happen.
other horse that won from 20? Big Brown. This is not
Yeah.
Big Brown.
Yeah, right. Now the reason I'm disappointed is because I thought I wanted the horse to run in the Preakness because I thought the horse has a real legitimate chance to win the Preakness. Um, but throwing him in the Derby, not for me. But I am happy because I do think we'll take money, but not going to use in any fashion. All right, boys, you want to give out quick pick five tickets, I guess, and then we'll close this out. And Jimmy D, maybe a few words for parting words for us. Jason.
Pick five. Single the 10 in race 8. 2, 3, 5, 7 race 9. 7, 8, 9 race 10. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10 in race 11. Single the 8 journalism in race 12. For 50 cents, it's $36. Also, want to say I'll give you an exacta and maybe a trifecta. 8 journalism up top, and then box 3, 7, 9, 10, and 13 in second and third.
All right, I'll go. I got the 10 was Nisos as my single to start the pick five. I went 3-5-7 in the turf race, 2-7-8-9-11 in the Philly distaff race, 1-3-6-10, 1-3-6-7-10 in the other turf race, single to journalism for 50 cents. That's 37.50. Not that much different than Jason. And a quick trifecta, 8 journalism on top, and then you can run these horses second and third in the box. 3, 9, 10, 12, 13, 18 in any order. I didn't calculate the price on that, but it's not a lot for a buck. Chalky. Or no, Jimmy, we'll go Jimmy D.
Well, anybody who's still paying attention at this point in time, I love you. Um,
It
Luck- luck-
ran a little long. It did run a little long.
Luckily, you can pause these things and
I,
come
I
back later.
and I too. I would. Let me tell you something. If you got any money, single Nisos. Race 8 single, the 10. Race 9, I'd go 3-5-7. Race 10, I'd go 2-8-13. Race 11, 1-4-10. Race 12, I'd use 4 horses, 4-8-12 and 18. At 50 cents, it would be a $54 pick five, but I would single Nisos if you have any money that you really want to invest.
So race 12, you said 4, right, Jim?
Yes,
That's Rodriguez.
4-8, 12, 18.
Yeah, he's scratched. He's the
Yeah,
Rodriguez.
that includes Rodriguez.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then just scratch him out.
So it'll be just a little bit of a cheaper ticket on Jimmy D's side
Yep.
here. Chalky.
Well, anybody listening to this podcast has money to spend because we do so well with everything we give out. But my ticket is race 8, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, race 9, 2, 5, 7, race 10, single the 2, the Mandela horse, race 11, 2, 4, 7, 10, race 12, the Derby, single the 8, journalism. That is $30 for 50 cents.
All right. Let's wish everybody good luck for the 151st Kentucky Derby. Jimmy D, any parting words?
No, I just would like to say it's always a pleasure to be on here. It's always fun. We always try to say some irreverent things. Some of my friends some of my thousands of friends like to just listen to nonsense. But I'll just say this in closing. It's no poem, it's no anything, it's not that clever. Matter of fact, one of my old friends said this. Many of my friends, they asked me, because once in a while, I was fortunate enough to pick a winner in the Kentucky Derby. They'll ask me, who do you like? And I simply say, do you believe because you have seen? Blessed be those that have not seen and still believe in Jimmy D. Funny, I think I might have heard
Epi-
that somewhere.
I think I read it in a book. Episode 155 of Broad Street Hustle. Have a good morning at this point.